It's the morning of click. That was a little fast that time. Slow it all down, Dana. It's the morning. I had it uncut. It's to the camera. It's the morning of the 20th of April, 2016. I don't quite need these yet. And we are live streaming at livestream.com. I'm Dana Durnford, the nuclear proctologist. A little tiny disoriented this morning. And we still got a long way to go. 1 hour show coming up here, starting right now. Chernobyl versus Fukushima. It's been a hectic morning, making sure we had a good stream for today, and so now everything is hunky-dory again because we're up and running. And we're just going to jump right into this morning. Now, a nuclear proctologist, for anybody who's not familiar, a quick recap is we are researchers, and what we done was we looked at Fukushima and we covered 200, and the arrows are the Canadian coastline. I'll give you a bigger understanding of that. And so we took this whole coastline, and that information is at thenuclearproctologist.org. So we done the coastline for 260 days in a little tiny boat. Now, Canada coastline would look like this everywhere you go. Would look like that. Would look like that, and this and that. Just amazing, isn't it? Is that incredible or not? You can go anywhere and feed your family. Really healthy, really wonderful environment. Incredible amount of diversity. Extraordinary colors, and it was just amazing. Now that same spot, like the rest of Canada, is naked. And we confirmed that. We done the whole coastline 260 days in a little boat. Now, Chernobyl, hell on earth. In 2006, Vidal had talked about it, and I used that one just because there's many out there, but they all tell you the same story. Look at the third sentence from the top, and for the next 10 days spewed equivalent to 400 Hiroshima bombs, worth of radioactivity across 150,000 square miles of Europe and beyond. Okay. Now, this was a very bad accident, and we're going to cover that in great detail to really drive home, because Chernobyl's anniversary is right around the corner. And that's the new sarcophagus they're putting around Chernobyl. Now, Chernobyl was graphite. The reactors was old reactors. They were the original reactors, and they were unstable reactors as it was. And it wasn't very far away. There was another reactor of the same design about a few weeks later, melted down also. And so there was a double dose that, and apparently that one gave off more than Chernobyl, but they hid that one away. Yeah. Now, the official story of Chernobyl is what? 28 people died, and originally, and now all these years later, they say there's something like 4,000 cancers. This is United Nations. This is Clear. This is the World Health Organization. And this is what is paraphrased throughout the mainstream media. They use those statistics, that data, that information, rather than their institutions, rather than the studies proving it. They'll always go back and they'll just tell you that decade after decade, tell everybody. Not everybody, the majority of people you talk to won't understand that this organization is appointed by nuclear countries. Probably a little bit too much for everybody right this early in the morning. That's okay. Now, as we roll through this, I'm going to have lots of videos. We got some really good stuff for you folks today. We got something today is going to blow your minds. Today, coming up. I'm not giving away the little secret. You got to suffer it out and listen to me yelling about Fukushima. I'm not yelling, but in 2012, a Canadian scientist was saying that the Chernobyl core is still melting into the earth. Now, they just spent $1 billion to build this baby, and they're going to try to contain Chernobyl again. This is on a set of railway tracks, and they're going to slide it over the old building. And the old building wasn't containing jack shit, but it looked pretty good from a long way away. And there's Zoe snoring in the background. What are you going to do? Not much you can do about it. She's going to snore, she's going to snore. It's too cute to wake her up and stop it. And she's over 15 years old now, and so you're going to have to put up with that in the background. But anyway, to me, I'm right here, so it's really loud. Why Fukushima is worse than Chernobyl? Now, yeah, the headlines are going to be conflicts for you, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to break it down. We got lots of pictures, lots of headlines, lots of videos, and we got some other stuff that's a doozy, trust me. Thanks to Jan Brooks last night, which is Miss Milky the Clown 1. We'll cover that a bit later here. Some pretty crazy stuff. So Chernobyl was really bad. In Chernobyl, it was around 3 million children with permanent disabilities. And we'll cover those headlines too coming up. But this headline, just to start everything off, now the truth is coming out 72,000 times worse than Hiroshima. 72,000 times worse than Hiroshima. And what was the date on that one? That was the independence. Why the Fukushima disaster is worse than Chernobyl. And this is aggregated at Energy News, which is just a news aggregator. They aggregate about all kinds of energy. But nuclear accidents, they seem to get right on top of it, so we utilize that to the best because that's what it's there for. So Chernobyl sprayed regions around Chernobyl, and the idea was for that to bind with radiation and pull it out of the sky. And they done that to protect Moscow and other major cities and government installations. Now, you know, that helps. And then it's going to fall on the ground. And when it rains, it's going to be reliberated. But for the time being, you're slowing down the plume. You're knocking out chunks of that plume. And so that's a cool thing. But it is still going to wash into the environment. It's still going to, over increments over a few years, in a drought, this stuff will dustify. And there's no water there to hold it all together. And so any kind of windstorms that come through is going to liberate that back into your environment. And that cycle can continue for, I'm not sure, is it 4.5 billion years or something? Long after that human experience. Now, the fallout is that same principle is applicable wherever the fallout was, not just wherever the plane knocked it down. So we'll play a little fallout. It's a 2 minute and 15 second model of the fallout from Chernobyl, and we can knock it up a few sizes so you can see it a bit better. Now this fallout was from 10 days. That's what Vidal was talking about in that article, Hell on Earth, I was showing you earlier. Now for 10 days, this plume was coming out full steam. It was in a chain reaction. It was consuming rocks and steel and rebar and atomizing and ionizing and radiating and releasing them. And then as that goes up into the clouds, a lot of it, not a lot of it, but some of it's getting rained out. A lot of it's traveling into the higher, upper and lower stratosphere. And that just one plume for one day could take 10 years to rain out. Now you can see how this stuff is still going strong. And the date is the 2nd of May, I think. This was March the 28th, right? So May, March, April. No, this was, I don't understand the language anyway. But so this is modeling based upon just a short period of time, a couple of weeks at best. I can't remember correctly, so don't quote me. But it's just it is a short time, you can quote that. Now they're only including a couple of radioactive isotopes. Now, when those countries and those lands and those have dry spells, that stuff is reliberated. When it's in the ocean and the rain and convection, evaporation is picking it up, it's reliberated. As it's still falling out of the sky at the same time. So this stuff is like a snowstorm that doesn't go away, but you can't see it. Okay, and we're almost through that one. Now look how much range that 10 days of Chernobyl actually covered. So that's a staggering, a significant amount. Yeah? 100%. Now, it didn't turn to dust. It didn't fade away like you're seeing there. This is just a sick joke from the institutions. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't like dissipate over a couple of hours like you just saw at the very end of it that time, see? The plume actually expands. But what they were looking at was big volume. So the plume was the implication that it was a big volume everywhere that you looked at that time. So that is why you can't sell the meat or buy or sell the land or sell the milk in certain parts of Ireland, Scotland, and UK, even today, because of Chernobyl. But Chernobyl was 1/3 the size of any of the reactors in Japan. Okay, so because of Chernobyl, Switzerland 2 years ago opened its fishing industry, its freshwater fishing industry. It's been closed for 28 years because of Chernobyl, but Chernobyl is a very long way away. Same thing with UK, where Chernobyl is very far away. Yeah? And because of that, these places still can't sell land, put it on the market, or grow crops on it or cattle on it, and they can't sell the cattle on the farms or the meat or the milk. Yeah? And you can't consume it because it's radioactive. And that the reindeer in Latvia, they're only allowed to eat that once a year at Christmas time just to keep the tradition alive. They can't sell it industrial, even though I'm sure they do. I'm sure the black market is pumping it out there like it does. That's what the nuclear industry is notorious for. Japan was going after other countries because they wouldn't eat the radioactive food. Hillary Clinton, presidential candidate in America, signed a pact right after the accident immediately that America wouldn't check for radiation in Japanese imports. So what Japanese wouldn't feed themselves, they shipped to America. Okay, now here's a video. This video is from a documentary, and he talks about, now the other one I got there from Harvard talking about the same thing. I couldn't get it to work. I got to reformat it. That was one of the videos I didn't reformat. But here's another one from a documentary from their mouths themselves, from the official mouth themselves, that all the helicopter pilots died, all 600. But yet United Nations and UNSCLEAR and the World Health Organization has never, ever recognized that. And that all your mainstream medias and academics have never publicly, except for Harvard, that one time that we know about. And I'll play the clip tomorrow, if that makes you better. Here's the clip. I got to get my headphone in because I'm a little slack, but we're getting in gear.
It was heroism.
During this operation, 600 pilots are fatally contaminated with radiation. All of them will die. But their efforts only buy a few days. Although it has been covered over, the fire still isn't out.
Right, so the chain reaction, they call it a fire. The chain reaction was still consuming the rocks and the rebar and the steel and the cement and anything they were throwing at it, the boric acid, the lead. So the 600 helicopter pilots were dumping boric acid and lead down. They stopped it as far as I'm concerned. That's sacrifice. That's why you won't hear about it. Because now they got to say 600 pilots died. And then their families got to be paid the money that they deserve, that they've been abandoned like everybody else from Chernobyl. Okay. Okay. And let's get back. Let's keep rolling. So we're talking about Chernobyl. Chernobyl. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm fire at the nanoscale, like Elena's saying in the comment section there. Let's get into some of these headlines and documentations. Now this was a collection from the New York Academy of Science showing that over 1 million people died. Over 1 million people died. And this was from 20 years of studies, aggregated, peer-reviewed. All of these were peer-reviewed. All of that was peer-reviewed. It was published at the New York Academy of Science. And I can't remember, it was 2,500 studies from Ukraine and Belarus about the devastation and the illnesses and the sicknesses. And they tallied up 1 million people at least had died. Right after that, they published that at the New York Academy. A study, hang on, a study showed up the Journal of Radiological Protection claiming that the study wasn't valid. Right? But yet that study published at the New York Academy of Science, so everybody quotes this one, a single study, discredited how many? 2,500 studies or something. Because somebody got paid and some, like Elsevier, Springer, or Wiley, I can't remember who published it. They're the three biggest publishers on the planet. They got 20,000 academic publishing outfits around the world. They get the academic rights. They get the publishing rights to all your studies for free. They don't pay for anything. They don't pay for coffee or toilet paper. They don't pay for anything. You did. And it's locked up behind those paywalls. But anyway, that's 1 million people, and the study shows up saying, oh no, don't believe them, believe us. Why wouldn't I believe a study that's peer-reviewed over 2,500 different institutions, peer-reviewed 2,500 studies? Why wouldn't I ever believe that? Why would I believe somebody who come out and say, it's not true? No one died. No, those 600 helicopter pilots never died either. I suppose he's lying too. And I suppose the grieving families are lying. And I bet you got the arrogance to go up to them, knock on their door and say, your husband didn't die flying a helicopter over Chernobyl dumping boric acid and lead. You're a lying sack of shit. Nuclear energy is clean and green and too cheap to meter. Carbon free. Huh? What? I don't care if he died. Nuclear is more important. That's what these people are like. You might say, Dana, that's a little extreme. That's a little way out there, mister. The truth is way out there. 2,500 peer-reviewed studies should be thrown away because the bootlicking and cheerleading lapdogs from the nuclear industry said, don't look at it, don't read it, don't investigate it. We don't speak the language. We don't know if we can believe them. But it's already peer-reviewed by institutions around the world. But it's not by you. You didn't get your chance to whitewash this and whitewash that and cross out this and redact that. Okay. All right. See, you won't see this. I'll move myself over a little tiny bit. Not that it matters. But I like being in a picture. I'm like that. I'm like, come on, man, I want to be in the picture too. Okay, stop right there. Good job. Mouse. Let's keep going. So, Chernobyl, what you're looking at right now is football fields of equipment that's so radiated, they don't know what to do with it. I don't know, we can't do anything with it. It's highly radiated. Japan, they're shipping it over to Canada and America as soon as it gets radiated. Halfway off, you buy now. How many of those little tiny trucks did you ship over here? Those little crappy little tiny 1.8-ton trucks or whatever the hell these things are, little dinkies. That's all radiated. Millions of containers, they were all radiated. Not another Chernobyl. I imported the wrong one. So here's like the apologists coming out saying it's not another Chernobyl. Fukushima nuclear crisis versus Chernobyl. So like I'm going to remove that one because it's 30 minutes long. But rain simulating regions used during Chernobyl protect Moscow from fallout. And experts recommend the same over the Pacific for Fukushima. We call them chemtrails. Look, they chemtrailed Vietnam for 9 years. That's right. They took out every leaf on every tree and every vegetable and they killed it throughout the whole country. And all the insects and the whole coastline, the ecosystem itself. To get at Charlie, you know. That never done jack shit to them. No, there was no Gulf of Tonkin attack. Right? That's come out. They said that the warships were shooting at it. It must have been a whale because there was nobody shooting at them. But the whole war was predicated upon American warship was attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin and it never happened. Right? That was declassified. That's true. And what did we do? We got 3 million children down there with permanent disabilities. Not to mention the misery and landmines and everything else you got done in that country. How you poisoned an entire country for 9 years by chemtrailing the sky. With B-52 bombers converted to chemtrailers, of them side by side, a quarter mile apart, putting out Agent Orange and toxins and dioxins that are banned worldwide. No, there's no repercussions for that, Dana. That's why they banned it worldwide. You know, like the mental illnesses that goes with the nuclear industry and the nuclear apologists and the climate scientists, which are nuclear apologists. Nuclear didn't do anything. We need nuclear. It's carbon free. There's no such thing as carbon free nuclear. How many abandoned mines, uranium mines they got in Navajo? 15,000. All the tailing ponds full of, like a gram of uranium is 400 train cars of ore. And then all the chemicals are separated, which is probably 400 train cars. And then all the water to dilute it and mix it. And the separator, which is millions of gallons, all put into a pond. Till it's too toxic to work there, and open up another mine and leave it behind. And then all the equipment and the people and the money and all that. No, that's all carbon free, then it's all carbon free. And mental illnesses. Here's Chernobyl. No clear answer to why so many kids born outside the exclusion zone are sick years after Fukushima. So I got to read that screen or this screen or that screen. So if I read that screen, it's going to look like this. If I read that screen, it'll look like that. If I read this screen, I can kind of shifty read that screen. Fukushima only 7% as bad as Chernobyl. Okay, here we go. Fukushima only 7% bad as Chernobyl. Well, Fukushima, unlike Chernobyl, had a 9.0 earthquake. It shook the entire country, broke everything in those reactors. Unlike Chernobyl, didn't have that happen to them. It just had a detonation. Not only that, I mean, it ran through the country at 9,000 miles an hour. It shook the country for 6 minutes. The buildings at Chernobyl never shook for 6 minutes. They never had a tsunami come in and bang into their nuclear power plant on top of that. Did they? And the detonations at Fukushima were much worse. That's Unit 3. There was all meltdowns. 1, 2, 3. Wait for it. 4. And the difference between Fukushima and Chernobyl was that in Chernobyl they never tried to tell you it looked like that on the inside. Right? But that's building 4. And this is what the official picture claims is building 4. And the CBS even went out there and faked. I got to play that one, you know me. They faked that he's inside the Unit 4. Right, I mean, Unit 4, and he got a dental X-ray. He got a mental X-ray. He got a mental X-ray, not a dental X-ray. They faked it. They didn't do that in Chernobyl. They didn't go down to Chernobyl and say it looks like that, did they? No. No. Down in Chernobyl, they're putting another sarcophagus over it. We know what it looks like. We get it. And here's CNN telling you that Fukushima only 7% is bad, but Fukushima got 4 reactors that have disappeared. No, it's not bad. Why do they still exist? Why isn't the entire planet ripping that place off that side of that street piece by piece till it's gone? Why ain't there thousands of people at the front? Because they're lawyers. Because they're incredible lawyers, and the police will beat you up if you call them a lawyer. I got arrested for calling a lawyer a lawyer. A provable lawyer. 100% easy to prove for anybody. Because that's what they do. You're not allowed to criticize them. I had to take down 300 of these videos because I might have their names in it in a 24-hour period, or I get arrested again. I had to take it all down. I can't get through 300 hours of footage in 24 hours, can you? When I got out of jail, I had 3 strikes on my account of the videos I was accused of being that I was arrested for. So they didn't get a court order to take the videos down. They got a court order to arrest me, but not to take the videos down. But they got a court order to arrest me for what I said in the videos. And then they used ghost accounts to take the video down. And then they got a judge to say I can't use bananas and potato chips and walking in the sunshine as a motive. Why I was upset. To set a precedence, not that they're going to court, but to set a precedence for the next one they're going to fuck over. Bankrupt. This is Chernobyl. They're not trying to put the people back in there, are they? Not like Fukushima. Oh no, Fukushima's not as bad, Dana. And then they got... now here's what the official story on Fukushima is. Get a load of this. If you look at the center, where the paragraphs are to, you see Fukushima, first paragraph, 3 Mile Island, second one, Chernobyl, third one, nuclear weapons testing, the fourth one. The bottom one says, though, even total, these totals of all of them pale, even the weapons testing, compared to the abundance of radioactive substances naturally present in seawater, such as uranium-238 natural and natural potassium-40. But you only need 70 pounds of man-made material to get 15 million petobecquerels, like you see in the bottom right-hand corner of that graph. And this is in much higher quality at Beautiful Girl by Dana after, where you can, it's really visible. But 70 pounds of man-made, because man-made per gram produces 88 curies. Each curie is 37 billion atomic atoms. But natural is 0.000050717110 millionths of a curie. Not like man-made is 88 full curies with no 0.0000 per se before you get to 88. It's 88 and then 0.000071 maybe. So 71/10 of a curie. So when you take 70 pounds of man-made, divide it into grams, multiply it by curies, you get more petobecquerels of man-made in a lousy 70. That's Chernobyl released much more than that than was out there naturally in the ocean. But the lie was to tell you that, see? And so here's the graph they uses all the time for the last 5 years. They're all doing it in different graphs, but here's the main one you'll see all the time. This is Woods Hole's massive lie. And look at the top yellow circles where they say Chernobyl in the middle was 85, but Fukushima was nothing. But Fukushima has multiple reactors, like I just showed you. Like it's well known. But this is the lying, disgusting, demented, twisted, sick. These are sick people. These people have an illness. And the only cure is to put them all down. There's no way to cure this type of personality that would tell you to go ahead and eat the product that's radiated because they got a paycheck. They made $1,000 or something, and it's okay to kill a few million people because they were on a major media when they done it. That's what a nuclear person is. That's what a nuclear PR firm is. That's what a nuclear scientist is. That's what a climate scientist does. That's what they all do. Is they tell you like a banana, potato chip, walking in the sunshine, getting out of the airplane, exit, dental X-ray, sleeping next to somebody, when that's not got nothing to do with it. Well, that's outrageous. That's despicable. That's a betrayal. It's the biggest betrayal of academics we've ever seen. And the biggest betrayal of media we've ever recognized. When the media come out and told you it was like a banana. And still does 5 years later. But they've been doing it for 70 years, see? They've done it for every accident. We're just paying attention on this one. If you go back through the history, that's all you'll find is bananas and potato chips and walking in the sunshine and getting on airplanes. But does not the studies of Dr. Raymond Gilmady from Loveless Respiratory Research Institute in New Mexico matter? I said New Mexico, sue me. Now Gilmady produced 94 peer-reviewed studies. 94. And the biggest producer is curium isotopes. And curium acts like americium, neptunium, and plutonium. Okay, and so that killed the beagle dogs and beagle puppies. Yeah, it killed beagle dogs and beagle puppies for 35 years. Never tried to cure it a single time. But does these studies not matter? Does the fact that 600 helicopter pilots at Chernobyl matter? Even though United Nations doesn't bother to tell you, or UNSCLEAR doesn't bother to tell you, or the World Health Organization doesn't bother to tell you. Does it matter? Yes. If that was your loved one, would it matter? If that was your friends or your families? Or just because it wasn't, how about because it was a hero? that knew what they were doing, or didn't know what they were doing, but took the job when they got it and understood that it had to be done. Was that not a hero? And does that not deserve recognition? Does that not deserve a place in history? Apparently not, according to your universities and your academics and your science and your think tanks, and particularly your medias, and particularly your spokespeople. And in 100%, that's why you have nuclear PR firms, to tell you the opposite. You have 2,000 of them plugging away in every aspect of your life, plugging away in your movies, your music, influencing you, your children in the schools, and everywhere you go, in every venue. They've infiltrated us like a plague, but they're a parasite, they're vultures. And they're actually feeding off you. They feed off your fear, they feed off your worries, they feed off your cancer. They make trillions off your cancers. They predict the cancers because of the releases. They know there's going to be big cancers in this area, big cancers in that area, and they set the stage to cure the cancers, or I'm sorry, to monetize the cancers and to liquidate your assets as you get sicker and weaker, and to shun any kind of family interference. No, we got to liquidate everything they got because we got a new chemical that might work. Yeah, what is it? Well, we can't tell you. It's experimental. You got to sign this paper just in case something happens, though we can't be held accountable. You want your loved one to live, don't you? That's not a thug. That's not a vicious thug. Going to the hospital and giving your children leukemia, or treating your children for radiation sickness with radiation waste. Like leukemia is radiation sickness. And you get 15 or 22% more if you're within a 15-mile zone of a nuclear power plant of deadly killer child cancers. And women have 6 times more breast cancer within a nuclear power plant. But no, don't bring that into the equation. Don't bring Dr. Gilmedi into the equation. Don't bring, like this study here of 144 dogs into that equation. And don't read that, for goodness sakes. Don't read the last 2 sentences. Don't read the 3rd sentence from the top. Don't read the 4th sentence from the top, because that might sway you. That might make you understand that it's not like a banana. It's not like a potato chip. It's not like walking in sunshine. And it might have something to do with why the 600 pilots died and all the dogs died. Yeah? Tumors of the lung, skeleton, liver occurred beginning at about 3 years after exposure. What part about that is it you can't wrap your mind around? What part about that is it you're like, well, I'm still on the fence? What part about that is that you can't have compassion about for those victims and for the implications of the people in the communities, and for the fact that 6 times more breast cancer within 15 miles of a nuclear power plant? If you've done a study out to 50 miles and included things like diabetes or Alzheimer's or autism or autoimmune deficiencies, like 1,800 of them shows up before the cancer. Then you would see the actual staggering, unimaginable, undefensible, incontestable amount of carnage and damage and harm and hurt and misery and agony and suffering inflicted by something that is nothing but a misery to the planet. Oh, we might have a nuclear war, end over for everything on the planet. We might have a nuclear accident, end over for everything on the planet. Every nuclear power plant on the planet was mitigated. Any good it done in the entire history of nuclear was mitigated just from Chernobyl. It was considered, there's no benefit. It was mitigated just from Fukushima. Fukushima is not stopping. Fukushima is unimaginable. Like I showed you earlier, Fukushima killed the Pacific Ocean. The sardines are down to nothing. The shrimp are down to nothing. The coastline is naked, like I showed you. The 4.2 million species did not recede the coastline of Canada. There's 5,600 species that are the residential, the indigenous, 600 algae, 76 species of starfish, all these multiple colors. 78 species of sea anemones, up to 3 feet long, and 500 per square meter. Gone. Just 1% of 1% of 1% left on the coastline. And the biggest criticizers of me out there, the people who just lash out at me all day, every day, were trying to control the narrative originally. And let me play a little clip for you. Now, this was a guy who demonizes me every single day and says there's no releases. who demonizes me every day and says there's nothing to worry about, who demonizes me and then reposts it up on 3 different sites, the videos, and demonizes me and says I'm faking it, there's no harm done to the coastline, there's no way the radiation can get here, there's no way it's going to cause harm. But if you go way back into their history when it first happened, you see them out there trying to control the narrative, out being a hero. Where now they're out there saying nothing happened. It's very confusing. But I'm going to play a couple of clips, just one right now, just a second. Here's a statement where he drove, this is a guy known as Dots, and he drove up the coast across Canada with a Geiger counter. Now he says there's no radiation came to Canada and that I'm a fearmonger, that I'm being salacious to solicit money, and that I never traveled the entire coastline of Canada. I didn't go anywhere. I went somewhere and hid away for 260 days. Now, why would someone do that when it's obvious I can't fake 2,000 pictures a day? That's up at the nuclearproctologist.org. Because they were trying to control the narrative, is what. So let's play a clip, originally, of they were playing the hero of Fukushima, okay? So here we go, if we can find it. He's going to go to Lake Louise. I'm going to have to adjust the audio on the fly.
Back towards Lake Louise, 9.3 kilometers down there is where Lake Louise is. So I'm wiping down, like I said, the exact same location here on the windshield. Okay, let's go back in the truck. Okay. Waiting. So as I mentioned before, you have to wait for this bar. These are 20-second cycles. You have to. Whoa, that's really high, folks. At 1.2, you're to exit the area. That's 1.3. Now we have to wait for 5 of these cycles to know if it's actually. Okay, dangerous. Okay, this is dangerous levels of radiation. Like I said, if we get 3 more of these cycles here, of these 20-second cycles, in the SOAK's manual that comes here, it says that if you get 0.4, you're to look for the source of the radiation. At 1.2, you're to exit that location because it's considered very dangerous levels of radiation. This is not good. Lake Louise, highly radioactive rain. There's no doubt about it. Like I'm far away here from the west coast. 0.66. I don't know what to say. This is this is unbelievable, folks. Just unbelievable. So those of you that were doubting if Fukushima's coming here on the west coast, well, I'm in Alberta already, and here we go, 0.68. I feel like I have to go through a car wash immediately. I don't know what else to say, really. I mean, obviously my car is saturated now, or my truck is saturated with high levels of radiation. I mean, the last ones were high. This is dangerous. This is a little different here. The proof is in the pudding. High levels of radiation. It's in Lake Louise. I'm heading off to Calgary, and then Edmonton, Lloydminster, hopefully Halifax by the end. And I'm starting my truck, and I'm getting out here. I'm heading down to the local car wash and getting this radiation off my truck immediately. Can you imagine your crops, your garden? Go find out what 1.52 microsieverts per hour. That's not good. Connecting dots out.
Yeah, go find out what 1.5. Ha 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 ha! Woo! Ha ha ho! Thanks, Jan Brooks, Miss Milky the Clown. Big high five, Jan. Here's a guy telling us there's no radiation, but there he is driving across Canada. He's raised money the whole time. Okay, I got some more coming up in a little tiny bit. Now, Chernobyl, Dana. Let's get back to Chernobyl. I thought everybody would enjoy that one. It's pretty hard to resist something like that, you know. Here's Chernobyl abandoned, like Fukushima. Unlike Fukushima, they're not moving people back in, are they? Would be like Chernobyl and steroids if the spent fuel pool catches fire, says the nuclear engineer who worked at the identical plant, and each reactor holds, 3,450 spent fuel assemblies. 3,450. There's 80 rods in each assembly. Each rod is 18 pounds and 12 foot long. And that's for a total of, 280,000 rods a cycle. Okay. 280,000 rods in each of reactors. That's 5 million pounds per reactor. There's 6 reactors, 30 million pounds every 2 years. Comes out and goes where? Up on the roof. Now, Dots has eviscerated me because he says the fuel pools are not on the roof. Okay. All right. Let's try this again. Back to Dots one more time. Now, he's going to... You're going to love this one. I know it's hard for people to sit there and listen to his voice, but you got to like this. How can you not like the irony of what I'm showing you here right now? Here we go. Unit 4 spent fuel pool. We got to whop this one right off. See that? 1,535 spent fuel rods. Not 3,400 assemblies. No, not 280,000 rods. See how the lie gets mungled right away? But anyway, let's play that.
Oddly enough, here we are May 23rd, they've just been hit with a 6.1 earthquake. Now those of you who are new to this whole stuff and you're wondering like, is this something to worry about? Well, I don't know what to say, folks, you missed out on a whole lot. We've had a problem here all along. Here's a reactor number 4. This is where the location where those 1,500 spent fuel rods, which by the way are 10 to 20 times more radioactive than the fuel rods that are not spent. That means the ones that are sitting within the reactor. These ones are just sitting in a pool here, and they're being cooled. They have to be kept cool forever. Now, here's a reactor number 4, and this is where the pool is up.
Where? Right there? Okay, hang on. Keep going.
On that top floor.
Up there.
This is where the hydrogen explosion took place.
Yeah, looks like it, huh? The rest of... That's where it took place, did it?
The top floors are blown
off. That got cut off for some reason. Okay. So the spent fuel pool on number 4 is at the top of the building. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. Here's the building. Here's the other side of the building. Doesn't look like that, do it? They actually tore the building down. There is no spent fuel. So David Suzuki saying you got to abandon North America and bye-bye Japan, right? You got to abandon North America and it's bye-bye Japan. It's gone. Now, Dots was there showing you that it's gone, but he's out there every day telling everybody it's not gone. It's in the bottom of the building. That's where the pool was. But he was right where he was showing it originally because he was trying to control the narrative. When he couldn't do that no more, it was attack everybody out there with the right narrative and get rid of connecting dots 1 because that's where all that information was. This was other people who had uploaded those videos. And Jan Brooks, Miss Milky the Clown 1 has a playlist on those old videos if people want to go scoop that so you can use it against this system. So inside of that, it cannot look like that, even though Seth Dorn, right?
Of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
Is claiming he's in Reactor 4. Is he not? Now that whole documentary of PBS and Seth Dorn, CBS, there's a whole documentary of being at the Fukushima prefecture. But he's not in Unit 4. Huh? Is he? Is he at Unit 4? Is he inside of that? Is Dad inside of that? Is he inside of that? And it looks like that. See? Now I'll show you a better picture, and we'll go back to Chernobyl. So Seth Dorn says he's inside, ultimately, of that. Yes, Seth. That's me on the boat. When did I lose that one? Seth is saying that he's in there. That he's inside of that, and inside of that, it looks like that. See, can't, doesn't work that way. Once more, one good look, we'll run over back to Chernobyl. I thought everybody would enjoy those 2 clips anyway. I think they're brilliant. Here he is, showing radiation throughout the country now turned to fairy dust. What a disgusting liar dots turned out to be like really disgusting. We tried to control the narrative originally. Chernobyl. Under 3% of the children exposed to Chernobyl radiation while in the womb were diagnosed as healthy at the age of 7. Yeah, and the irony of that picture is disgusting, how children were manipulated to not worry about it and think it was normal for stuff to leave the plant because of Homer Simpson, right? He does it at the beginning of every single show. 3 million children. Now, Chernobyl, once again, stopped after 10 days. Japan didn't. Japan is right by the ocean. Chernobyl was 500 miles away from the ocean, or 600 kilometers, whatever it was. 3 million children require treatment. Many will die prematurely. If, those two words, treatment and die prematurely, shouldn't really work together, what they did for that headline anyway, right? They have orphanages after orphanages after orphanages in Belarus of deformed children. Go look up Chernobyl Hearts. You really want to appreciate it. Chernobyl Heart is about the orphanages from a charity organization from Ireland, and really nice people, and they were horrified, and you can tell it in the documentary that they never expected to see what they saw. Water and nuclear fuel coming up from the ocean floor off the coast. So they're alluding that it's double Chernobyl, but Chernobyl was a candlestick, a paper towel, sadly, and Chernobyl was vicious. Chernobyl was brutal. Chernobyl, over 1 million dead, vicious deaths. People dying of cancers. No, this is not that like they just dropped. Well, some of them did from heart attacks, because a lot of that material aggregates right in your muscles, and your heart is a muscle. And so it's electrically pulsing in your muscle, in your heart. And your heart is electrical. And so that's why people die of heart attacks. And what happened was the tsunami dragged it all out. So think about the tsunami for a second, how the tsunami went through and took out the common spent fuel pools and everything else. But also think about how that tsunami ripped the country, destroyed the people that were left behind, and terrorized the ones that were dying, and horrified the ones that went through it, and the ones who were seeking solace. It was a bitter search, I'm sure. The Fukushima power plant is the third one from the top right-hand side, followed the arrow. It has 6 reactors. Now, that model here is where 400 kilometers of coastline, where Fukushima, unlike Chernobyl, Fukushima had nuclear power plants all along that coastline that all suffered the same fate. That's why there's 30 million bags, 1-ton bags. You can wrap the planet in 5 lanes of traffic, bumper to bumper, 1-ton trucks, if you put a bag in each truck. That's 2,000 pounds per truck. That's appropriate. And think about the red box. The bigger the box, the more people died. That's 400 kilometers of coastline. Look at where all the reactors were. And so Chernobyl never had that come through it, or that to slow down the response, right? Chernobyl was able to bring in 600,000 conscripted soldiers. How would anybody get through that, see? And you only got a short time. When this is happening, how are you going to get anything accomplished when your country looked like that? Nothing can survive that, see? Even the people, that guy on that bike is traumatized forever by that experience alone. So it blew up and it sent the material out into the ocean. It was swept out into the ocean on top of that. And so they actually paved the ocean floor out front. Tokyo area soil testing finds radioactivity up to Chernobyl's relocation level in Tokyo. So Tokyo, which is 240 kilometers away, right? So this should be 240 kilometers by 240 kilometer evacuation zone, not the 20 kilometer. I mean, a nuclear power plant, within 50 miles, you can expect us to be thrown up and everything else, to have radiation sickness from an accident like this. Even in Tokyo, it's 1 million becquerels a square meter in schoolyards and at shopping malls and throughout the country, they have this black like mold growing, and this is 1,000,000 becquerels a kilogram, but it's everywhere, and so children are really close to the ground. It's just shocking. Chernobyl. You think about, he got his legs chopped off because he's been walking around in there, and he's dying. He died shortly after. That doctor who's treating these people most likely died shortly after. And there was several 100,000 that died shortly after because the x-rays and neutrons will melt your organs. But Japan was vicious. What they done in Japan was to send in the homeless and the destitute and people that didn't speak the language, the immigrants and the migrants, and then they threw them away like a toilet paper when they were finished with them a few days later. Radiation limits too high after Fukushima, and Japan increases it 20 times. That's suicide and that's murder. That's murder. What do you mean Japan? Japan didn't do it. A couple of people did. Japan didn't do jack shit. A couple of people in the Nuclear Regulatory Agency got somebody in the government, gave them a suitcase full of money, and they done it. It was the nuclear industry that done that, that changed, that allowed 20 times more, that demanded 20 times more cesium in drinking water than Chernobyl. 20 times more is allowed because Fukushima is way worse than Chernobyl. But Chernobyl was no joke. Ask that guy's loved ones, or their loved ones. And these people didn't even understand what they were doing, but yet they went to battle. Belarus had an instant drop of birth rates. 20% of the budget was devoured, the after effects, and they got orphanages after orphanages after orphanages. And here they're saying petabecquerels were 7,300 petabecquerels of xenon, and then they got cesium. But see, there's thousands of other radioactive isotopes. They're classified, but does that mean that they're not an issue? Why did they classify them if they were harmless? There's over 10,000 that are classified. 600 helicopter pilots, the United Nations World Health Organizations, UNSCLEAR, and your mainstream media and your pundits and your nuclear apologists and blogs will never talk about it. And but you should. You should stick it right to them every time. And then you got these people were only allowed on the roof for 25 to 30 seconds. They were educated. They were given basic equipment. They were given an option of knowing something, where the immigrants and the homeless and the destitute are uneducated. They don't have the support network. They didn't get any kickbacks after. They didn't have any, a lot of these didn't either, but they had resources they were able to tap into. The homeless don't. The immigrants in Fukushima don't. These are heroes, 100%. Made their own outfits. I mean, think about that. For 25 seconds work. To run out on the roof, throw something over the edge and run home. Never go back on a nuclear site again, and most likely die shortly after. Because you're talking about 500 Roentgens can kill you right there. And people were in the hallways dying. People were in the hallways puking and couldn't sit up or stand up throughout that whole complex. They burnt people all day, every day on making that happen. It only lasted 10 days, but it was hell on earth. Ask John Bedell and everybody else. Fukushima effects will be worse than those suffering Chernobyl. And turmeric is a very important one. Dandelion's an important one. Spices are very important to your health. Natural oil, coconut oils and stuff like that is extraordinarily important to you. Buy a $10 tiny bottle of that, $10 tiny bottle of this, $10 tiny bottle of those, and buy all your spices. Like turmeric has 1,600 peer-reviewed academic studies. 1,600 peer-reviewed academic studies on different properties. You can put it on cuts, and you get less of a scar. They have done that for thousands of years. We put a Band-Aid on and forget about it because can't see, can't hurt you, so to speak. My cigarettes don't have 7,000 chemicals, and that's why I say the system is so corrupt. Your media didn't tell you that, did they? I mean, think about how big the law is. There's 7,000 chemicals in a cigarette. Why? Why, though? Why is that allowed? How can that be possible? Why would someone do that to you? Why would a corporation, a business, trying to earn your respect and support, poison you with 7,000 chemicals. That's poison. That's incredible. It's inconceivable. If I put 7,000 chemicals in baby food, what would happen to me start selling it? People found out there were 7,000 chemicals in there. Well, I had to explain why all the babies were... Okay, we're winding down. 4 minutes. Let's bang through a few of the headlines before we run out. Composition of nuclides is more dangerous at Fukushima than Chernobyl. And Chernobyl was just that was just less than 2 years later. And for Fukushima, but Chernobyl was almost 27 years later when they done that study. And already Fukushima had devastated the bird population, see? And Fukushima, look, that's 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. We're going to let it go right there. That's mixed oxide fuel. That's where they use reclaimed plutonium. But not just you reclaim plutonium, but you reclaim uranium-235. And that was a lot of it. When you hear numbers about plutonium, you have to put the numbers of reclaimed uranium from nuclear missiles and nuclear silos from the Cold War that were already unstable. Everybody went through a chain reaction one time. Were already highly volatile and refined. And you put that through a chain reaction a second time, it's 2 million times worse than what it was originally. So it's actually a couple of billion times, but it's 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. When it was in a chain reaction, it's producing reactor after reactor worth of material. It's consuming everything around it, the steel and the rebar. And so a gram or a pound of natural stuff is like enough atoms as a gram of man-made stuff. But when you're talking about consuming millions of pounds around you in a chain reaction at 6, 7, 8, 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, it just cannibalizes everything that falls on top of it, atomizes and aerosols it, and that is a worry now. That is a threat, rather. That is murder when it gets you. But cancer is the last one to manifest. There's 1,800 diseases first. That's why Chernobyl has 3 million children with disabilities, because there's 1,800 autoimmune deficiencies, illnesses, diseases, Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, diabetes, heart, liver, lung, respiratory, pituitary, gland problems. There's 1,800 problems associated before cancer shows up. Unless you live within a 15-mile zone of a nuclear power plant, you're getting big doses, 6 times more likely to get breast cancer, 22% times more likely for your child to have a killer leukemia. And don't give them chemotherapy. Only 2% of the people live any longer than you would have without it. It's murder to inject your loved ones with nuclear waste. We have to stop doing it. Let alone what Gilmedi done to the dogs, right? I think about what Gilmedi done to the dogs for all those years. Never cured them once, killed them all in short order, yeah? Kill them all, short order, and the bottom 2 sentences, you can expect similar repercussions for humans. But on the long story, Chernobyl is still a factor. Chernobyl, they just put a new sarcophagus over it, right? Because Chernobyl, 30 years later, is still deadly. Chernobyl, 30 years later, still can't get inside of it, but Chernobyl is 1/3 the size of any of the reactors in Japan. Japan lost 4 full ones, but right along the coastline, right throughout the entire coastline of that area, and I never showed you that last headline, right? We showed you that graph there, and we showed you where all the power plants, but look at the headline. 15 reactors in areas affected couldn't go in the cold shutdown. They had station blackout because of the tsunami. And that a governor in Japan wanted 10 nuclear power plants decommissioned, not 4, not 3, like you're telling you. That they finally admitted that we bludgeoned them. We done over 9,000 headlines for I Went on the Ocean. We shared that live stream like we're doing right now. Government made me take down 300 of my presentations. Hugs for everybody. Let's come over and say, I never did come over and say hi to everybody, did I? This stream? I even plugged in, Dana. Where's your manners, Dana? Thomas Ackerman! Thomas is a full-time blogger too, but he's an incredible artist, but he's concerned. And you should watch his stuff. You should learn about Thomas a bit. And you'll find his links on my Beautiful Girl by Dana channel on YouTube. But you'll find this in 1080, very high quality, in a couple of hours. This is about 4 gigabyte file. And so it takes a few hours to upload. And hugs for everybody. Nova, Kay, Checks and Balances, Andrea, Pam, Oomph. See, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that one right. L.A., Jan Brooks, there you go. Jan the hero, who sent us the dots connection and had me burning candles at both ends last night again. Jan, thank you very much, though. Keep them coming. Just cruising. And Jan got Miss Milky the Clown on YouTube. She posts Fukushima, incredible documentations about Fukushima since the beginning. And she's mad at Dots because she probably trusted him originally, and now she realizes he's a turncoat and that he's disgusting, and he's trying to divide the whole organization. But he was trying to control the narrative, wasn't he? He was driving across Canada, dangerous. Oh my God, he's right. The video is hilarious. And then he's showing the fuel pool at the top where it is, and I show you the pictures where it's gone, and he's out demonizing me, saying none of this is true. But that was him back when it happened. Like, he was really good back then. Better than me, probably. Yeah, probably he was. But he was there to control the narrative. He was there to control the opposition. He was there to be the opposition. Son of a gun, eh? Imagine how his family feels, how disgusted they are or not. Strain, K, Nep Killer. Okay, buzz, folks. Yeah, thank you, Jan. Hugs, everybody. And Kathy and everybody else. Chris, anybody, Pam, Nep Killer. I didn't get to. Elaine, everybody else. Answers, and I know there's lots of people that I don't see. Shoni, and I do love saying, so I'll just hang out for another few seconds, make sure. It is important for me to recognize that you took the time to come here and say hi and chat and hang out or pay attention or just thumbs up. John Dowley, or that, like, that is important to me. That, you know, I show you that respect, I show you that dignity, and I show you that harmony. That we are one. Together we are invincible. Divided we all die of cancer separately. Hugs for everybody. We'll catch everybody tomorrow. And there's no streams Friday, but we'll catch everybody tomorrow for the last stream of the week. And I'm not telling everybody what I'm up to, but we'll catch you all on tomorrow's stream, and then the next one will be Monday following. Hugs for everybody. Take care, folks.